welcome to Eye on Ocean County. I'm Christina Seco. Over the last 20 years, community-supported agriculture, also known as a CSA, has become a popular way for consumers to buy local, seasonal food directly from a farmer. And joining me this half hour to discuss everything you need to know is Lawrence Mendies, the owner of the Mendies Family Farm in Roosevelt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Christina.
And how exciting to actually get to, pick local food straight from the farmer and to cut out the middleman and to know exactly where your food is coming from. Talk to us a little bit about the CSAs and how they've grown into such popularity.
Yes, Christina, the CSAs are moving along in 2012. It's just a lot of people are just getting more and more connected to the land. They're tired of, going to the supermarkets and not really knowing where their food is coming from and how it's being sprayed or maintained or even shipped. And just having a much better connection and assurance of, where your food is coming from is one of the reasons why we have the CSAs, and it's becoming more and more popular.
Now, Lawrence, you mentioned, when you go to the supermarket, the food is indeed, it's sprayed. So now let's talk about what's unique to the farms, that this is pesticide-free, and this is also an organic farm. Talk to us about the importance.
Yes, well, we're naturally growing right now. We're not certified organic, and we choose not to be at this point. We basically, do let our customers or members certify the way we grow. So that's the connection that we have at this point.
Okay. Now, you mentioned members, so I want to, really get the point out there that people can come to the farm, they can, take part in the farm, and they can also buy a share. What does that mean?
Yes, coming to the farm, of course, you buy a membership. You can either, if you have 3 to 5 persons in your family, you can buy a full share. If you have a single couple, maybe with 1 child, you can buy a half share, so the prices will fit to your budget. And basically, you pay the fee ahead of time. During the winter is preferred, and it allows the farmer to purchase the materials and supplies needed to go on with his season. So financially, it helps the farmer, it helps the farm. And then the member, at the time when it's opening with us, the summer harvest starts around May the 30th, and you would come and start picking up a share of what is available to you at that time. So in that share, for instance, in spring, it would probably be beets and lettuce and radish and cole crop that does well at that time. Also, a share would include going to the herb garden, picking the flowers you like, and also a bunch of herbs. So that's what a share is include. It includes, these basic things.
And you mentioned, picking the herbs and picking the flowers, which I think is really, it's really a nice touch to have at a CSA. So you're going in and you're picking up your week worth, whether it is a half share or a full share, like you had mentioned, Lawrence. And so you're picking up your fresh produce for the week. And of course, if you need to cook, and you can pick up some fresh basil, and you can cut it right there, yes, which I think is so exciting. So it's literally going from the ground to your table.
Exactly. We decided to throw the herbs in as part of the program because a lot of times, you're going to the supermarkets, and you just need a little bit of thyme or a little bit of rosemary. Most of the times, herbs, really you don't need a whole bunch. So what we've created is a way that you can just take a little bit at a time and use it. The herb garden actually is open to our community members 6 days a week, so there's no reason to try and get a whole bunch of thyme. You can just come as you need it and take what you need, and it seems to be working out.
And it also eliminates waste there. So like you said, if you're going to a supermarket and purchasing a huge bunch of basil, and you may only need about 3 leaves, so you're not wasting your money, taking what you need, and of course, you know where it's coming from. I think that's really exciting. And part of what I find interesting about being part of a CSA is that, you know, it's something to do with the whole family, and you're showing where you're getting your food, and you can cook together, which I think also helps bring the family a little bit closer as well.
Definitely, Christina. I've noticed definitely with children, they normally are not attracted to what's good for them as far as vegetables. So we have seen this happen over and over. For instance, when the asparagus pops in early spring, you know, it's the first life of green, and the children are like, there's one, and they're running and they're grabbing it. And I have had an actual encounter where a member's daughter never ate vegetables, and she called me up, and she was happy, and she was just full of joy. She said, my daughter got home, Mom, and she slurped. She said, Mom, I just want one. But she picked those asparagus, and after she ate one, she slurped the rest down. And ever since she comes to the farm, she's more involved. She picks cherry tomatoes. So I feel really good that has, even if it's just one child, that it's opened up this window of fresh, healthy vegetables. I feel good about
We
it.
actually have some pictures of children actually out there picking the tomatoes as well, and I think it actually adds that element. And like you said, I picked this, and now I'm going to eat it. I know where it comes from, so it's actually full circle. So here we have kids out there, you know, in the garden picking their fruits and vegetables as well, and you know, getting a part of the process. And I also think this is interesting for moms and dads as well, to learn about new vegetables, maybe cook some things that they may not have heard of.
Definitely, definitely. The other part of the CSA is a cultural experience. We grow everything from Asian greens, Brazilian eggplant, heirloom eggplants, things normally that you would pass up in a department store. For instance, bok choy. It's like very, very high in nutrients, and it's very good for you. And in the store, you know, an average person may say, okay, that's not part of my menu, and just pass it up. But if you pay in advance and it's part of your share crop, most of the time an average person isn't going to throw the food away. We do have a system with the pass-along box, so if you really don't like something, you take it anyway, put it in the pass-along box, and it's open game there, and anyone can just take it. But for most part, most members will grab it because they've prepaid for it, and then they get home, and we have a website with recipes, and they'll try it. And then once you try, especially bok choy or yu choy or one of the Asian greens, you'll find that you've been missing out on a lot. And also, you know, knowing different recipes and how to cook, and it just actually makes you a better cook all in all. So
I have to tell you, bok choy happens to be one of my favorite vegetables
Good.
now, from having tried it at the farm. Now, when you mentioned costs and having people not want to waste what they paid for, what are we talking? How much does a half share and a share cost? And is it indeed more affordable to buy locally?
Definitely. Our half share, being that we're just starting, we try to be fair as possible. So we keep it at a price of $275, which again will feed 2 to 3 persons, more like a single couple. A full share is $550, which will feed 4 to 6 people on an average eating for 1 week. Now, if you're a vegetarian, we definitely basically, we really would rather not sell you a full share. You need to take 2 full shares, because you wouldn't be happy if you're a full vegetarian and you're eating, you know, just a full share. That's not going to be enough.
And this is over about a 20-week span. So the share, so if you divide it, it's pretty much about $11 a week. So it's roughly in that area. So it's similar to what you'd pay at a supermarket if that's what you're going to buy. But the difference is, you know where your food's coming from.
Definitely. The connection, and then if there's no way of really adding up a beautiful bouquet of flowers that you put together on your table, you know, all summer long, and also the rights to just go to the farm as your family's coming over and cut some fresh herbs, you know, that's really the connection that we give there.
All right, excellent. Definitely sounds like an exciting place to visit. We have to take a quick break, Lawrence, but you at home don't go away. While you may be sorting out your summer wardrobe, farmers are thinking about Old Man Winter. We'll explain. Hello and welcome back to Eye and Ocean County. I'm Christina Seco. With the warm weather upon us, winter may be the farthest thing from your mind. But for many farmers, they're already thinking about winter crops and planting seeds in order to bring you fresh produce all winter long. Joining me once again with more is Lawrence Mendies, the owner of the Mendies Family Farm in Roosevelt. Thanks again for being with us.
Thanks again for having us.
So you're already out there and about, getting ready, planning for winter, getting the seeds planted, and tell us what that process is like.
Yes, Christina. Now that summer solstice has passed, a lot of people don't realize, but each day is actually getting shorter and cooler. And so now is the time to start thinking about not running out of food. It's sort of like feast or famine. And even though we have food, now's the time to get the crop in the ground. So we're starting transplants. And even though it's very hot, the critical time now is when we move the transplant to the fields is to keep it from burning. But as each day gets a little cooler and that plant takes root, as each day gets cooler, that plant has established its roots. So come September, those little transplants that you're planting now be fully developed, and you have a field full of food. And that's the idea.
Excellent. Now, I think what's important to point out now is that if you want to be a part of the Winter CSA, now is the time to sign up. The Winter CSA does indeed run from November to about mid-April. And Lawrence, what type of vegetables are we talking about? I mean, you hear winter squash, but that's kind of the only one off the top of my head that I can throw out there.
Yes.
What are we talking?
Winter farming, I think, is really going to be big if we can get the movement going on. There's so much available. For instance, we're sowing carrots now. As each day gets colder, and actually when the ground freezes, the carrots actually get sweeter. So you can just leave the carrots in the ground and pull them as you need it, as long as you keep a row cover on it and keep them from freezing. Anything in like kale, lettuce, broccoli, radish, mac, which also is known as corn salad. The bok choys, all the Asian greens you can grow in the winter, along with another technique of growing now and keeping root crop, storing it into the root cellar. So we go turnips, parsnips, onions, and all these things can be kept in a root cellar.
Excellent. And we actually have a picture here for people at home to look at. You can actually see that the covers are starting to go on top. If you can see in the far left of the screen. Explain to us the covers that are going on there to actually protect the crops, indeed, for proper growing for the winter.
Correct. We actually grow tomatoes that in a time where other farms do not have them, but the idea is to get them planted now as little transplant babies, and having the sides on the greenhouse that will go up and down for ventilation. So what makes sense is if you plant a tomato now, you'll be able to harvest it under protective cover from October all the way to December. But it really doesn't, we could grow them through December all the way through winter, but it doesn't make sustainable sense due to the cost of fuel.
I think it's really neat to think about a winter harvest just in general, because you know, in the summertime it's exciting to go, it's warm out, you can pick your stuff, but you don't think it's something to do in the winter when there's snow on the grounds. But indeed that is not the case. And talk to us how you keep you keep things going. I know you have underground pipes that keep things warm. Talk to us about the process.
Exactly, Christina. We're blessed to have a DEP recycling permit under farm exemptions, which tree services will bring their wood source to dump off at our farm. So we take the wood, and in turn the local community tree service guys can give the customers a low cost. And we keep the landfills from being dumped on. We can put more things that are needed to go there. So it's a win-win situation. So You know, fuel wood is the main source that makes this possible. And the other idea is to just grow what makes sense. In other words, don't try to grow tomatoes in the dead of winter, but try to just put minimal heat. So what we do is use two covers. For instance, if we're growing lettuce, a lot of people, they don't realize that one cover of plastic, 6 mils, will set you back 1 USDA zone south of New Jersey. So one cover, you're in Maryland for free. And then if you, exactly, and if you put another cover, so now you have 2 covers, you're actually in Georgia, and that's free fuel.
Free vacation.
Exactly, and free food. So a lot of homeowners can actually do this right in their backyards with a small little greenhouse that you can purchase from one of the department stores. And the idea is to put a second cover inside of the greenhouse, and then you'll be able to grow what makes sense. And that's the key. Grow what makes sense, what can tolerate the cold. So you do want to look at all your seeds, lettuce, and different things, and check the temperature. And what we do, we use the wood to heat hot water, and we run PEX pipe under the soil. And we just give the soil minimal heat when the ground starts freezing, just to keep it from freezing, and we use the row covers. And that makes it possible for us just to go all winter long.
That's excellent. Now, Lawrence, this is your second season doing the CSAs. I know you started with just roughly around 110 members. How has this grown?
Oh, it's grown tremendously, Christina. Things are going really well. Even though we're new, we're facing a lot of challenges, but we're up to 150 members, and we're a 30-acre farm, and we're only using 3.5 acres. So that just shows, you know, the possibility of what we can do there on the farm. So it's really growing. There's a lot of community interest, and a few people from Ocean County, so they're all coming. And we're centralized between Ocean, Monmouth, so it works great. You know, we can have members from both sides, and it's really
excellent.
nice.
Now, are you finding that members are coming there and not only picking up their produce, but maybe learning a thing or two to take home and maybe make their own gardens? Because you know, when you teach people how to farm, you know, the old adage, they'll never go hungry.
I'll be honest with you, Christina. I think a lot of the members are joining because in this day and with the economy, the demands on family and work, I really think they want to leave the garden alone.
Leave it to you, right?
Well, leave it to us, because again, they do come, and we do take the volunteers, and they do the gardening there, so that way when they get busy, they know that they have a shepherd there to watch over the crops. So I do believe the demands on the workforce nowadays, gardens, unfortunately, are not being maintained in the homes as much as they used to, but so they're sort of relying on us as a nice base.
So it really sounds like it's a little family environment away from home. People are getting not only financially having a tie to the farm, but it sounds like people are really getting in there and doing their part as well.
Oh yes, they definitely are. We're getting more volunteers every day, all the way from the ages of 85 to young children, and it really gives that connection. And you know, we've had a member last week come because they're cutting the sunflowers, they're running low, so she did all the sunflower seeds, and this week she came and she's just like, wow, I can't believe I did that. So now she just made more sunflowers for everyone else on the CSA to cut, you know,
Beautiful.
in a couple of weeks.
Lawrence, we have to take a quick break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll tell you how you can get involved in a local CSA. Don't go away. For staying with us here on Eye on Ocean County. I'm Christina Seco. There are many risks when it comes to farming, and as a member of a CSA community, you share in part of those risks. With me once again to explain is Lawrence Mendies, the owner of the Mendies Family Farm in Roosevelt. Thanks again for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
And I want to talk about things that you can't control, Mother Nature. So indeed, if it doesn't rain, things will not grow as wonderfully as you'd like them to. So talk about, does the risk outweigh the bad? Does the positive outweigh the bad?
Yes, it could, Christina, but it depends on the farmer. We don't give up at the Mendies farm, and we, of course, we've invested in an irrigation system, so there pretty much won't be a lack of water because we can handle that. But sometimes you have the problem you can't control too much rain, and that's what causes disease and tomato split. I'm sure everyone's seen their tomatoes ready to pick it, and they go to pick it, and it rains, and it pops, it explodes, it accepts water too fast, and the skin can't take it, so they'll split. So we try to correct things by growing our certain crops, even in the summer, under cover, pretty much under a greenhouse to control that. But there's always a risk, and the members are quite aware of that. But pretty much on the overall, we do come through.
Excellent. Nice and positive. I like that. Now, I want to talk about some of the animals that you have at the farm. I know that you have dozens of chickens, as well as, I believe, a rooster. You have some goats. So you have a lot of animals there where kids can actually go out there and feed the animals. We have Sunday and Scooby here, your beautiful goats. And they actually have a job at the farm. They're not just there for fun. They actually mow the lawn. Talk to us about how they do their part.
Yes, Christina, with of course the connection of the U-Pick, we've seen parents just love that part, but it's kind of hard when you're tagging along 2, 3, or 4-year-olds, and you want to respect the crop, so you don't want them stepping in it. So we decided to do a small little area where we would keep animals to keep the children entertained. But then on the other hand, we felt that it didn't have a point. So we decided to start a chicken egg CSA. And with the chickens, members can purchase fresh, naturally grown eggs. So that also attracts the children. They can feed the chickens, and that's the reason why we have the goats. They work in conjunction with the chickens, and we always try to keep the goats in one pasture ahead of the chickens. So, of course, when they go to the bathroom, their manure, I know it sounds kind of rough, but it attracts flies, which of course lay the maggots. And then you rotate, and they'll mow it down. Then you take the chickens after that particular area has been used up by the chickens, because their manure is in there. Move them to the goat section, and then the chickens, of course, everyone sees them pecking all the time. They'll eat the maggots from the goat's manure, and then the goats move, and of course, into another field. And this is a sustainable way of rotating animals. It makes sense. So the goats eat free, and we get healthy eggs.
Excellent. And of course, people can bring their old table scraps, so instead of throwing them away, so they can actually come and feed the chickens, which of course will then lay eggs in the future.
Yes, it's a great thing we have going on. We do recycle in every way we can. Composting makes really good sense. We do old-fashioned composting too with your food waste. But on the other hand, it's really nice for the children to learn the connection of table food, that if you're eating naturally grown, pesticide-free food, and it normally goes either into the garbage or into your compost heap, and it's better yet to give it to the chickens and get an egg in reward. So that's the connection.
It's a really nice cycle, and I think it's another way to educate the children as well. So, and a lot of teaching happens behind the scenes over at the Mendies farm. Talk to us about how students are coming to learn about sustainable farming.
Yes, it's something that we're seeing more and more. Students are starting to turn to the agriculture field, and we now have students coming from Petty School, which is just around the corner, and Mr. Brown, I believe the environmental science teacher, will bring a busload of students, and will show them the farm. Even though they're learning it in the school environment, there's nothing like bringing them to the farm and actually seeing it being applied. We have a class coming from Rutgers University in August, and also we have Allentown High School Senior Practicum Program.
So it's definitely a hands-on experience, which is something that you can't learn inside of a classroom. So it's very, very nice there. But I want to talk about some of the future plans at the Mendies farm as well. I know you have lots going on and things that people can look forward to.
Yes, with all the support, it just encourages us as the farmers, to just keep thinking of different ways to keep everyone going there. We've been studying aquaponic production using tilapia fish. So we're going to be building a greenhouse with tilapia fish. The water will be heated by, of course, the wood waste, keeping it at 75, which also will illuminate into the greenhouse and provide the heat. And this system will be used in the wintertime, and when we harvest the vegetables, then we'll have a tilapia fish harvest that will, of course, taste better than the tilapia that you get, it's in the supermarkets. Along with that, we have a permit from NRCS to build a 1-acre pond, but in turn, we're also going to make it a nice shape which still fits the parameter, and have our members, even if they want to throw a line in and fish.
Excellent. Definitely things to look forward to, Lawrence. Thank you so much for sharing the farm with us and giving us a little taste of nature there. And of course, for you at home to learn more about the Mendies Farm, you can log on to mendiesfarm.com. And of course, to find a local CSA near you, you can look up localharvest.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Seco, and we'll see you next time on Eye on Ocean County.